which we are so excited about. It's really been a work in progress for months now. Our design team's been working to create these really beautiful pieces, but it all started with Geraldine's yarn and just like a little backstory behind how we met. We went to Vogue Knitting, Haley and I.
Like, what's this? I have like pillows everywhere now because I'm pregnant.
That's new.
Oh wait, I didn't know. Did I not tell you guys?
That's so
sorry.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, get those pillows.
Yeah, get comfy.
I know. I need pillows for my back now because my back is killing me. Well, I don't know if you guys can see the little.
How far along are you?
I was like, what's that? And I was like, oh, that was the pillow for my back I used yesterday.
Oh, that's awesome. Even better. So
that's so exciting.
Great.
Oh, thank you.
We met Geraldine at Vogue Knitting Live, which is this knitting conference, so to speak, that happens in New York at Times Square every January. We met back in 2019 or was it 2020?
No,
19. Oh no, it's 20.
It was right before the pandemic.
It's right before the pandemic. It was 20. Yep.
Oh yeah, so it was 2020. Yeah, gosh.
So going on a year and a half now. And Geraldine was just starting her business. She had this really beautiful presentation of all the yarns that she was dyeing, and literally stopped Haley in her tracks first, and she was like, there's this booth down the hall, we have to go meet. So this woman that has these beautiful yarns. And that's when we met Geraldine, and we fell in love with her yarn, and Haley bought a whole bunch.
and just so everyone knows, like, if you've been to Vogue Knitting or not, it's very overwhelming. It was my first time, and I was like, whoa. And I was like, ran to the bathroom, and on my way back, I spotted Geraldine's like cute little booth. And yeah, I totally was stopped in my track. Up until this point in my knitting career, which has only been about 3 years, I've never bought any other yarn besides yarn that we've got at Third Piece. So Geraldine literally was like my first yarn purchase outside of Third Piece. So it was a pretty big deal for me. So just to state that's how obsessed I was with it.
Thank you. I'm so flattered.
And it took a little while to get me to start knitting with it, because I was used to chunky yarn, and then over the pandemic I started playing around with it, and then we kind of had talked about it once we all got back into the store, like, let's get some more of this and play around and see what could happen. And then like back in January, Kristen and I were talking, and we were like, let's do a fun collab. Like, we can make these really pretty designs with her beautiful yarn, and kind of like brings us here.
Yeah.
A lot of behind the scenes work in the background. I don't know if Maddie, our assistant designer, is here, but she's helped tremendously with helping us put all the designs together. But
with that, why don't we, Geraldine, I would love to have you share how you started and a little bit about your background, because it's really inspiring in terms of how you got the concept off the ground. And like, this is still really new for you. You've been doing this now for a year, 2 years now. You had just started when we met. So
yeah. I think when we met, I had just started selling my yarn at the end of September the year before. So I think right now we're about a year and a half. So we're really, really new still. But before that, I did work in fashion for 10 years. Actually, at the end of my fashion career, I was the creative director of a women's wear company, and I was in charge of a whole design team and like trend forecasting, and so deciding, what colors were going to be next for the company. And at the end of the day, even though I was making a lot of money in fashion, I was not satisfied. I was just not happy with the route I was going. It was something about the portion of fashion that I was in, fast fashion, that felt sort of unsustainable. And I sort of left the career really unfulfilled at that point, because I just felt like I needed something better that I could do. And I had always been a knitter. And at that point in time, I was running a knitting group, and sort of everyone was like, oh, teach us to dye yarn. And like, we honestly couldn't find someone who would teach us how to dye yarn. And I knew how to dye yarn from before, way back, or actually just dye clothes. So I started dabbling in it, and then we started doing very casual workshops actually at the knitting group. And then next thing you knew, I was like, oh, I really, really love this. I love playing with color. I've always loved knitting and making my own garments, I guess, in the sense of designing your own product, because, you know, you have so much creativity of it. But knitting takes a really long time. It takes forever to knit a sweater. I'm sure all of you know that. You know, it doesn't have the same instant gratification that like designing fashion had, but dyeing did. You know, you would pour color on yarn, and next thing you know, you have a piece of product, and it had that instant satisfaction that I really, really love. And that really sort of started me thinking like, oh, do I want to be an indie dyer? I don't know. But then I thought about all the indie dyers out there and all the different yarn, and there's so many beautiful dyers out there. But there was something that I always felt that was missing. You know, they were always like pretty in the skin, or they look great, but then you know, once you knit like the yarn, then you're like, oh, I don't know, that was a little much. So what really propelled me to do the Wandering Flock was to really take all the fashion skills I had and think of yarn in a really different way. And that's how we really run the whole company. So first I thought, well, most yarn dyers really have a very uncurated collection of yarn. And I wanted to have a collection of colors that spoke to one another, that could be used with one another. So that was one of the first things we did with all our solids, all the way we create colors here. And then the other thing was I wanted to make sure that when I dyed a yarn, I think about what everyone would make with it, whether it be a sweater or a scarf or shawl or hat, really how the fabric would knit up once you're done sort of, you know, once you start knitting. And I want you to like love your piece when you're done knitting with it, instead of going, oh, I don't know if I'll wear that, which was something I always found like sometimes when I knit, I was like, oh, I don't know, I liked it in the skein a lot, but now I'm not sure anymore. So we were always really conscious at the Wandering Flock about how we dye yarn, how we choose the color, how the colors will show up, even if it's a multicolor, even if it looks really pretty in the skein or a little crazy. We wanted to make sure that it's something that you would want to wear for a really long time, because at the end of the day, I knew I wanted a business that was sustainable, especially leaving from fast fashion and going into slow fashion. I just wanted to make sure that every piece of yarn or skein you bought from us, or a garment you created with our yarn, stays in your wardrobe for a while, versus something that gets discarded over a season. So yeah, I think that answers this question, right?
I just want to ask Alex or
Yeah.
Kate, are you guys recording this?
Is this recording?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure, because I was like, this is so, like, we want to be able to reshare it, and that was so good. So I just wanted to make sure. I didn't want to interrupt you. Okay.
Yeah. It says I have a little button there, or I don't. It's not my button. I guess it's like a little thing that says recording.
Yeah, I'm very lucky that I was recording, because if I wasn't, Haley would have just fired me. So lucky for everybody involved that I did press the recording button. Yes.
Yay!
The speakers end up getting recorded, so you don't have to worry about like everyone's
In
kind
the
of view
audience,
getting
yeah.
in the audience.
That was part of, yeah, that was
so
awesome.
good. I mean, we did an Instagram live last week, and when you had shared a bit more about your background coming from the industry and the fashion space, especially in the fast fashion, I think it resonated with us even more. On top of the fact, like first we were like, oh my god, one, these yarns, like the colors are first and foremost the first thing that you see, and then you
Totally.
feel them and you take a look at like the fiber content and the way you've selected the fibers that you're dyeing with. And it's so unique. As you said, like indie dyeing can really have a really large spectrum, and in the skein, certain yarns can look really beautiful. And then when you knit them up, you just realize that the whole color story you saw on a ball may not be what you thought in a garment. But your yarns really, they are so cool.
Yeah.
Like I just describe them as like so fun and cheery.
So fun, so cheery, really beautiful to work with. So for all of you out there who have like purchased your kits already, you're in for such a treat. I just think like the way that your yarn picks up color too is just so awesome. So we have our select. So Geraldine has like her whole range of colors. We curated our own selection for third piece. So we have a basket of yarn. We thought we could just kind of go through it. We can talk about the colors, and then Geraldine, maybe you can talk a little bit about like your thought behind the color, and maybe
how you do it.
How you do it, yeah.
Like I'm
How do it.
tie-dye, and like this is the one. This is such a prime example of like, I'm gonna jump to this just because it's like the coolest yarn I've ever seen. See the colors of it, you're like, oh my god, but how is that gonna knit up? And then as you can see, I'm wearing it, and it's like really subtle and pretty. It's just so nice.
And the cool thing about this too is we're holding it 3-stranded because it's such like a light lace yarn. So when you hold the cosmic tie-dye or some of the other blended yarn together, it creates even more of a fun variation. Like it kind of actually almost creates its own
like clouds,
its own thing. Yeah, because all of the colors start to mix together, but still in like this really beautiful way. So,
and we have the mohair. So this is our first like proper collection with mohair. We've had a very love-hate relationship with mohair that I think a lot of knitters sometimes can. It's really trying to find a mohair that would feel soft, and you see those like Instagram photos that are just like like flowy, and they're usually some like really amazing like Belgian designer that you see. I feel like you see those Instagram knitwear pieces, and this yarn was just the first thing we thought of when we were like trying to figure out what to do with it.
Totally. So we'll go through the colors with you all. This is navy. I actually had a woman email me yesterday asking about the navy, so you guys can see it a little bit more up close. So Geraldine, maybe you can talk about your fluffing process, and then also like your single dyeing color process and how you maybe work that in.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I always think solids are a really important part of a whole yarn collection. So when I created the whole sort of yarn collection, I always wanted to make sure I had core colors in there that were solids. And navy was one of those colors that I knew I couldn't live without. I wear a lot of navy on my day-to-day life, and black. Even though I make really colorful yarn, because we are dyeing and so much dye powders flying around. My uniform at work is black all day, every day, or navy. And so how can we not have navy yarn? We had to. So I like the navy mohair. I think it's one of my favorite mohairs, especially if you decide to like hold the navy mohair with a different color. It really sort of gives you a whole different fabric that you like wouldn't have thought it would do. And I think navy mohair, if you held it with one of those brighter colors, gives you this really nice, very cool, mild look. But still keep your garment navy with the pops of like neon coming out from the back. I don't know if you guys done that yet, but it's really, really fun.
With the birthday cake or birthday ice cream.
Yeah, it really makes, I think, you know, the navy mohair is dark, and if you wanted a dark garment, you can knit it all on its own. But if you wanted something with a lot of surface interest, but still be really fun, I love adding navy to that. And that to me was one of the things. And talking about how you guys like my yarn, I'm actually really excited about the third piece collaboration, because I feel like when I learned about third piece and saw that you guys thought about knitwear as clothing as well, starting with the clothing versus starting with the yarn, it was always something that I really, really like. I love you know, yarn is at the end of the day just the base product, but what you really make is clothing out of it. And that's what really attracted me to third piece as well. So I was very excited when you guys reached out.
It's a mutual love.
It is.
awesome. Yeah, so the navy is great. Like Kristen said, cosmic tie-dye, which I know is Geraldine's one of her favorite ones at the moment.
Yeah.
For this the other day.
Cosmic tie-dye is actually one of our best-selling colors at the Wandering Flock. When I first created it, I really created it right at the start of the pandemic, when everyone was, we were all on lockdown, everyone was stuck at home, the weather was starting to get nice, but you couldn't go out anyway. And I was thinking, well, it was at a point where I was like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do with my baby business that just started. But I knew that I wanted to create something that was really fun and joyful that you could bring home, because now people were knitting at home, everyone was stuck at home, and you couldn't be outside. So I really thought about like the summer and like fun colors and like tie-dye. And so it's called cosmic tie-dye because it's really inspired by sort of very like colorful vintagey looking t-shirts and all the multicolored that sort of like fade after a while because it's been used and you've had so much fun out in the sun in it, but now you got this really cool vintage t-shirt, and I had a couple of those tie-dye t-shirts that I really sort of had the inspiration to create tie-dye out of. But then I knew that at the same time, I wanted to create something that was like really like neon pastels was the feeling I had right now. So I put all of that in to cosmic tie-dye, and the Wandering Flock blew up after that, actually. Because of that one colorway.
I saw you post this and I was like, that is so cool. I remember I sent it to Haley. I was like, this is like, I'm very neutral. I'm not a risk taker when it comes to color. I often say that my red hair leaves me to be a little limited in terms of the colors that like, I love that pink, but like, I just can't pull it off. I in my head, these are my own limitations I put on myself. I can't pull that off. I was like, that is so cool.
The purple hue goes perfectly with your red hair, which actually for you, because I don't really remember too much, but when I met you at Vogue Knitting, I feel like I got this color and I got the birthday ice cream. And did the more neon colors like the purple and the hot pink, did that come about during the pandemic as well, or were those already there? Because I feel like I don't remember seeing the hot pink there.
You did not. You did not see the hot pink. Definitely the I think you definitely there. So like when you saw me Vogue, the color was very curated and probably a little more muted. And then when the pandemic hit, I just knew that, it was a very depressed mood at that point of time as well. And I just wanted to create like just happy colors. We are knitting, and so it is a fun activity that everyone's doing. It is a hobby that we all bring home, and I wanted to bring sunshine into everyone's home and a little piece of joy, really, since y'all can be outside. So that's when I started really, weirdly enough, changing my palette. And if you guys see me or knew me, you'll know that my palette's very neutral. Usually I do stick to like you, Kristen. Yeah. I wear a lot of neutrals.
Black is my uniform, and then like
black is my uniform.
Here, but
I would say I have to say I wasn't really a pink person until I got your pink yarn when I like saw your sheet list, and now I like want to wear like hot pink every single day. I was said something about hot pink, and he's like, "You don't like hot pink," and I was like, "I do like hot pink."
I mean, there is a lot of pink in my collection. Even the label is pink. I don't know if you guys noticed that. I'm definitely a secret pink lover.
That is my couch.
Yeah.
I love the mauve. The mauve is
awesome.
So pretty. I mean, going back to color, I feel like mauve goes into like a really nice neutral category. It looks good on everyone. I think whether you have fair skin, more olive skin, darker skin, it just is so pretty.
I know.
And this has speckles of what looks like a little bit of lavender and navy in it.
Yeah, I think there's a little lavender. I'll hold it up close. And also too, all of the collections that we designed with are the full mohair. But when I first started playing around with it, I actually mixed Geraldine's yarn. I mixed it with baby chunky and I made a vest out of it. And then I also used your merino and I made a vest, and then I did the V and the an I-cord bind off in the mohair, and it just added this like really beautiful fluffy texture.
Now we were thinking of ideas for fall.
Yeah, so definitely, yeah, we have lots of there's so many things in the arsenal we haven't even got to. Our brains work like a mile a minute.
Oh my God. I think holding a neutral merino, like one of your yarns with one of our mohair, I don't know if you guys done it yet.
Yeah, I actually have a swatch. I'm gonna go get it.
Knit a swatch. It is amazing. I love having a fancy like mohair with like something completely like plain, and I think it will work really, really well with your collection.
It's a great carry along yarn, and that's like the beauty of it, is that you can really mix and match what you do with it in terms of a mohair and its versatility. So the texture is what gets you. If you're a texture person, I'm a texture person. It's just got this halo on it. It's just so nice. And when you with us how you are hand painting and hand fluffing, there's a lot of love that goes into these.
A lot, yeah. Yeah, I don't think we talk about the process. So actually, when I dyed a mohair, before we actually put it into dye pots, we actually fluff the mohair skeins individually and then dye them in a lot. And then after they come out, they kind of get like a little like, sad and matted again because of water, really matte sort of felt stings. But it's not felted. It's just, sort of sad. So what we do right after when the mohair is dry, my husband goes through and fluffs every skein of mohair and then skein it and then we ship it out.
And just to share, like, it's you and your husband, like you guys have been in this business and growing it. You've been focusing on it full time now.
Yeah. It just started out with me. When you guys met me in Vogue, I dyed everything, skinned everything, labeled everything. I don't know how I did that. I just didn't sleep for the whole December and January. And I worked 7 days a week. Now we have.
When I met you, you were like full adrenaline.
Totally. It's full adrenaline. I think right after that, I crashed for like 3 days and I didn't talk to anyone and didn't come out of the bed. But now we've grown a little. We have one more full-time dyer. So it's me and Marie. Her name's Marie. She's not here today. And then my husband wasn't supposed to be part of the business at all because he actually has his own job. He's a realtor. And then during the pandemic, when the pandemic hit, actually our business grew, my business grew. And he couldn't show any houses because no one could be out anyway. And so he started helping a couple of days a week. And now we've grown to a point where he's helping us almost full time.
Awesome. I love to.
So yeah, it's 3 of us in the office in this tiny little studio. We're not there today, but if you watch the live again, you'll see the little studio we're in.
It's so cute. And you're based in Brooklyn. Everything's done in Brooklyn.
Yeah, everything's done in Brooklyn.
Your fibers, but then you're really painting and everything out of your studio in Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
So cool. So I have something that was I could say was going to be a sleeve. Just so everyone can see what our baby chunky held with. This is the I think this is the birthday ice cream.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Pretty. I also did it in like a rib swatch. So it kind of just blends in really beautifully. But I like it in stockinette the best.
Yeah, I've been knitting since I was, I don't know, 9 or 8, 11. I can't remember, a really long time ago. But my favorite stitch is stockinette.
Yeah, there's just something so beautiful about it. And I think like the stitch definition of the baby chunky blended with your mohair, it just like elevates it all like really beautifully. So.
I love the one, is that the sleeve you said it was going to be a sleeve? That I like that one. That's actually my pick.
So we'll maybe have to make a stockinette sweater in that this season. I held 3 strands too of your mohair because I didn't want it to get lost.
Yeah.
The baby chunky. So
and that's
that would make sense.
Our designs, we did them triple stranded.
Yeah.
I actually really like that you guys did that. I haven't seen anyone do it triple strand yet, but I can see how light and airy and sort of like a really full like fluff it gave. It really made me want to do. I'm definitely gonna knit one of the. I think I'm gonna knit the one I posted on my grid.
Yeah, for sure. Just let us know and we'll send you
I'll need a pattern.
all three of the patterns, of course. Yeah, for sure. So we have the hot pink color that Kristen has, and then this really pretty icy lavender, which has this like really nice gradient from like kind of almost whitish lavender to darker lavender. It's really pretty.
It's really pretty.
I'm gonna insert myself and just say that that icy lavender is incredible. It's my favorite. I do not know how you created such a beautiful, cool tone. It's so stunning.
Neon, but it's still very like
Yeah,
pastel-y.
it's-
Like you said with the cosmic tie-dye, you can definitely see the influences across all the palettes, but it's like vibrant, but yet like not in your face. Like
For
this-
sure.
it's definitely like it's show-stopping. Like
Totally.
Haley must get so many comments.
Well, so I have some of our pieces here hung up. So this is our raglan sleeve pullover. It has a really nice garter stitch detail. And then this is called the Liliana. And the awesome thing about this sweater is you can make, this is 3/4 length, but you can also make it long sleeve. So for the spring, we liked the 3/4 length, but I have definitely worn this a few times. And I was like buying candy at the candy store in my town. And the woman was like, I love your sweater. And I was like, thanks. And she's like, it looks hand knit. And I was like, it is. And she's like, oh, we'll make it for you. I was like, I made it, I actually designed it. Oh, nice. Awesome. Crazy. But then I walked out of the store and the first person I saw was like, oh my God, I love your sweater. I didn't tell her too much. I was just like,
kept it to
thanks. Yeah, I kept it to myself that time. How much boasting one can do. But yeah, so I feel like, so just to kind of run through some of the knits that we made, we tried to keep it simple and let the yarn speak for itself, but also think about stuff that whenever we design, we think about stuff we want to wear in our closet and that like feels like unique and genuine to us. So this is just, I mean, it's such a simple knit. Kristen has it on. It has this really beautiful, like flowy sleeve. The drape on this yarn is like incredible.
Yeah.
And it's pretty fast. It's a quick knit. It's knit from in the round, starting at the top. You build out the sleeves like a normal raglan top-down knit with 3 strands. And I believe we use size 13 needles and size 7s for the smaller details.
But
Which
it's seamless,
just creates
a nice seamless top down, which we've been doing.
Seaming with mohair kind of can suck sometimes, so that's always nice. So like I said, you could do this in all the full long sleeve or
3/4.
the 3/4.
We like the 3/4 because like I'm actually wearing one of the original samples, which is kind of in between a size 2 and 3. So you can see it's definitely like boxy, but there's something about the flowiness to it that I really like. It's definitely
it's so easy to wear and like just throw on, and it goes with everything. And then we really we haven't done a t-shirt yet because we just haven't. So we created a t-shirt version, a short sleeve one. And this one's really sweet because when you put it on, it actually almost creates a little bit of a puff sleeve with the way that it's made. But we still did the garter stitch detail around the sleeves and the neckline, and
it's like a little sister sweater to the Lily and the Liana is what we named
So
them.
cute.
And it's kind of, they're really like playing off of each other in terms
That's
of
the piece I'm knitting.
This one's so fun. And it's like, I don't know, you can wear it year round, but it's perfect for spring, fall, and like cooler summer days.
I've already decided that the knit mohair t-shirt is going to be my look going into the fall. Like I
like make puff sleeves for menacing.
No, I am. I'm doing it. But in all honesty, the puff sleeve doesn't look feminine. I've tried that exact sweater on and it doesn't look feminine because my shoulders are broad, so it kind of flattens it. So it really just looks like a super cute t-shirt.
I love it.
I'm obsessed. We had a great question in the chat. I don't know if we wanted to wait or if we wanted to
Yeah, we can take questions as they come in.
there was a great question about how the best way to care for the mohair, if you recommend blocking it or other ways of taking care, because it's there's also some silk in it, right, Geraldine?
Yes. yes. So mohair, one of the reasons why, so mohair is not as strong of a fiber. So that's why there's always silk in there, but the silk also adds the drape. And I don't know if you guys notice when you knit, there's a little bit of a shine, and that comes from the silk as well. And silk is a very strong fiber. And I like using silk with mohair because I think it honestly creates a very luxurious fiber, but also yarn, but also the silk lends its strength to the kit mohair and actually gives it and actually takes on color really, really well. So that's one of the reasons why there's silk in there.
Yeah. In terms of caring for it, I haven't blocked. We haven't blocked any of the pieces, but what I do suggest is, especially like on the neck, like finishing this neckline, which I'll show you the vest up close in a second, is once I'm finished, I like to lay it flat on a towel and then put the towel on top of the piece and then just use my steam button on the iron and press and steam. And it just makes everything kind of just go into place, and then you let it dry, and then that fluffiness of the mohair comes back up.
Yeah. And then in terms of care, I mean, with anything wool or anything with the wool in it, you're going to want to hand wash it on cold in a cold water basin. But honestly, because these are layering pieces, you may have to do it. I would say I'm guilty of, like, I very rarely wash my knits. In terms of like my cottons, I do. Like my cottons are like my lightweight brands. I actually have gotten quite ambitious and put them in the washing machine. I wash my teddy, which had Angora in it, and I don't recommend that. Although it's very
like
cute.
A crop top though. It looks cute though.
But would you recommend hand washing this in cold or dry cleaning? Is there any? What's your experience been in the care for it, for the longevity?
Oh, that's a good, I actually don't wash a lot of my knits either because I always use them as layering pieces. I wear a t-shirt under and then I wear my knits, and then but with the mohair, I wet blocking it. I would suggest against wet blocking because I think that would mat down the fluffiness. I think the way Haley's done, I would have done the same thing, as I would have put like a towel over it and use the steam to sort of really block that. But these are oversized drapey garments, so I don't feel like you really need to block it because the stitches will be quite large and like sort of do its own thing either way. And you can't unlike knitting with just 100% wool, how like if you have uneven stitches you could block it out. You couldn't really, I don't think you can really do that with mohair because once they're like locked in, they're kind of like set to go.
Like the whole purpose of it though too, to be flowing. And so before I worked for Third Piece, I worked in menswear in suits, and guys would ask all the time about how to care for the suits, and we'd say like dry clean it maybe once or twice a year, but in between get it steamed, because wool is a natural fiber, so it actually kind of starts to clean itself a little bit. And like if you sweat in it, like it just it sounds weird, but it like absorbs it and it kind of cleans it on its own. So if you're someone who like is super into like making sure all your clothes are clean, maybe just do the towel over the mohair piece and just steam it, because the heat kills the germs and the odors, but I wouldn't wash it very often.
On the flip side, another trick with some garments is putting it in the freezer, because freezing it can help to kind of like kill any bacteria or anything kind of in the garment and just give it like a little bit of like fresh. It's like very random, your sweaters, but people do it. Natural fiber. I mean, think about like every time, like it's skin, it's fur, so it actually like deteriorates the more that you wash it. So whenever you have something that's made of natural fiber, especially hand knit stuff, I would try not to wash it as much as possible, because each time you wash that piece, you are like taking a layer of skin off of it, and then it starts to wear down. So you just won't be able to have the longevity of the piece if you're washing it frequently. See, I would say that's my
think of Geraldine's husband standing there fluffing it by hand. Do you really want to think of that wonderful man doing that labor, and how if you just throw it in the washing machine, you're really undoing all of his hard work?
But also, if you must wash it, never with hot water, always with cold. but I advise against it.
Yeah, from three professionals to all of you, try not to wash your knits.
You could possibly, I guess, if they are sticklers for clean, I guess dry clean would be your best option for longevity. You spend so much of your lovely time knitting this, and we all know, like, these are wonderful pieces. I would give it the most care I could after you spent like the weeks knitting it.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm going to talk about the last design of the collection, and then we can open it up to any questions that anyone has. But the last one is a vest. So Kristen and I had she had an idea of a vest, and we had seen this neckline a few times on.
We've been wanting just a V-neck. Like, I think we've been experimenting with V-necks over the years, and there's always, V-necks are hard. They're really, really hard to be able to get it to either like lay flat or not have some type of like gate that happens with the stitches. So we were really trying to find a neckline that would be flattering and like defined in terms of the V, and Haley nailed it.
Yeah, and also too, I used a.
She did. I agree. Haley, you nailed it.
It's a very thought out design for me. Usually, I will just sit on the couch and I'll start knitting, and then like that's how that sweater came up. I was just like, I have an idea, but this one I took time. I swatched it. I was like 2x1 rib, 3x1 rib, 1x1 rib. No, fisherman's rib. It has to be a fisherman's rib. But then, like, how do you decrease on a fisherman's rib? So I did a lot of research. I found this really cool way. I'm still working on the video, so I will get it all out for you guys who's gonna purchase this pattern. But it's a really cool technique. When you do it on like a merino fiber, you can see it a little bit more. But with the decreases, you can see with the fisherman's rib, it's almost like a brioche rib. It's done over 3 stitches. So it's done over a knit, purl knit, and it takes 2 stitches and knit it together, and then the third one. So it actually makes 2 stitches or 3 stitches into one. So it creates this like really pretty V that keeps going. So that's a fun technique. The fisherman rib is definitely a little bit more daunting than it looks, but I find with the mohair, because we're knitting it on larger needles and it's so open and airy, it's actually a really fun stitch. And then we did this fun hemmed bind off neckline. So we picked up on a size 7 all the way around, and then we did a fun technique to increase, decrease, and then we hem seamed it together, which kind of gives me that like tennis sweater vibe.
A little bit, yeah.
Like it has that fun V. And if you're knitting this, the V is gonna be like down to here. I remember I like tried it on for Dan, and he was like, "Whoa, that's like a racy sweater." And I was like, "No, it's up." So when you're knitting it, don't be disturbed if your V feels like it's like the whole length of the sweater, because when you pick it up on the 7s, it like sucks it all up and makes it this like really nice.
And because the mohair is so airy, I think the structure that you get around the V just really helps to anchor the garment.
Yeah. So this is a really fun piece. We did a little bit of an extra wide shoulder. It kind of has like a little bit of androgynous feel to it, but with the fun colors of the Wandering Flock yarn, it just makes it feel really feminine.
It's just like a really true layering piece. It's just what we hope will be a classic vest that can sit in your closet for years.
For sure. So.
And I feel like vest is very, I don't know if you guys follow all the like knitfluences or the petite knits, and I follow all of the Scandinavian designers, and they're all about knit vests right now. And I think in fashion as well, the knit vest is very, very, very trendy right now. I really, really like the idea of a knit vest.
I know it's fun to do something like, there's so many different ways to make a vest right now, so it's fun to like do something a little different.
There's crop vests, there's oversized vests. We're all about the vest. I feel like we started thinking about that last fall, and like when it comes time to those transitional, like right now, like when you don't want to wear a jacket, like just utilitarian, like how you dress, and to like think about getting out the door and feeling like you can easily pick out your outfit. Vests are just such a great way to do that.
Yeah, and from a styling perspective too, like Kristen always says, like it just makes your wardrobe last a little bit longer. I feel like we end up wearing our summer wardrobe like all year long, because like you can wear those beautiful flowy dresses, You just put a sweater or a vest on top
Pair of tights.
with a pair of tights, add a belt, tuck it in a little bit, and then you're like good to go. That's definitely like a 3-piece uniform. Clearly, because Chris and I are basically wearing the same thing today. That's what happens when you spend so much time together. But yeah, so this is called the Ava. This is the Lily, and then the Liana. So those are the 3 knits that come in the Wandering Flock kit for 3rd piece. But we'll kind of close out the morning with some questions from anyone.
Yeah. We're getting some awesome questions in the chat right now. This first one's from Jillian, and Jillian's asking about mixing colors. Since we're holding 3 strands, the idea Jillian came up with would be birthday ice cream and navy, which would be a really cool combo. I know, knitting's all about creativity and color work is all about creativity for sure. But I would just say from a logistic perspective, Jillian, if you want to do something like that, email me and we'll figure it out how to sell it to you. Because right now,
The yarn's online, and we can sell you the pattern separately if you wanted to do that.
got it.
Look like if you held, you'd have to.
Oh, wow.
But it is really pretty because the cool thing about this navy is the silk. You can see the cord of the silk. It's hard kind of with the sun, but it actually has that, like, it's a heathered navy because of the silk of the yarn. So it makes it really pretty to mix with this.
Yeah.
So how many skeins are there in each kit? That I'm curious now.
I think 3 to 5, depending on the size of the garment. To go over the sizing because that's an area that we've been doing a tremendous amount of work in. A lot of yardage in this yarn. So 3 to 5 skeins typically. I don't think anything went more than 5.
More than 5. Your yarn goes such a long way, and we've sized them all the way from like a 0 all the way to like, I think we go up to it's almost hitting around like a 25, 26 on the size 4. So yeah, there's a lot of yardage in your yarn. And speaking of that, I have my handy dandy yarn swift behind us. So I would just say, if you're gonna wind your yarn and you're unsure, I made a great reel yesterday. So check that out.
I saw that.
So there's 3 ways to wind your yarn if you need to get crafty. But when you get your yarn, wind it into, if you have 3 balls of yarn, wind it into 3 balls. If you have 4 balls of yarn, wind 3, and then cut that 4th one up into 3 balls, and kind of you just always want to have the ball.
Or even if you have 4, I was saying, if you have 4 and you wind them all, if you can't find the end, you can do from the beginning.
Oh yeah, you can pull from the beginning and the end. I will say with the mohair, it's a little tricky to do that because the fibers tend to catch. So I would say I just roll them into little mini cakes. This is what I got from one skein. Like this, you could probably get 2 more of this size.
It's very deceiving too. Like, it's a ton of yarn.
Oh yeah, I think I did my pink sweater with like 3 of this size, and I was like, I don't know what's gonna happen, and I was like, oh my god, I can't believe I made a sweater with it.
It's very deceiving because of its lightweightness. Even though if it's a 50-gram skein, it's actually 459 yards a skein, so it's a lot.
For sure.
Amazing. That was the next question. You answered that question as Cherie put it in the chat. Yeah, Cherie put in the chat how many yards is a skein while you started to just into that. So yeah, I just want to clarify, Jillian's going to reach out to me, but if folks are right now, the kits are kitted as one solid color, but we can work with you to figure out how you want to put your kit together. Michelle was asking, she's saying she loves to design. She feels like she's sensitive to mohair and is wondering if we have other yarns. Right now, we are just offering these kits in the mohair, but I don't know, Kristen or Haley, if you have anything you want to add to that.
Yeah, I think to be honest, the cumulus might work really nicely if you wanted to do something in a cotton. Yeah. So feel free to email us, and we would be happy.
Yeah, the fluffy floss maybe.
The fluffy floss, but if she's not into the mohair, if you're not into the mohair, you have a reaction. Same might happen with the fluffy floss.
Awesome. So same answer. Michelle, reach out to me, and I will help you find the yarn that's perfect for your pattern.
It would be really cute. in the
T-shirt would be
cotton.
cute.
So if you were interested in that, and I think you could get away with one strand. So of that.
You can-
Yeah. Awesome.
Or I had a quick question. I don't know if anyone had that question. Are those knitted top down? Are they like knitted in the round in one piece, or
Yeah, so this is knit.
it's totally for me?
The two raglans are knit starting at the top neckline all the way down. No,
Mhm.
not really any seaming, so it's pretty easy. The vest, however, is definitely more of an advanced pattern. It's knit in two pieces, the front and the back. We did a 3-needle bind off at the shoulders, and then you pick up for the V-neck and you pick up for the armholes.
Oh, so you pick up for the armholes too.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh,
So
that's
on the arm.
that's a really good thing because it stabilizes the yarn.
Yeah, for sure.
Seam.
We're
Yeah.
like, Kristen especially is very hones in on those little tiny details. Like if the piece doesn't feel finished, then it's like back to the drawing board. So
Yeah. I'm a stickler when it comes to patterns too. A fit is a really big thing for me, and having the piece look finished. So I really appreciate you guys do that.
Fix or breaks it. I think that like there's so much work that goes into it, and sometimes all it is like a simple like needle change, or and like
Mhm.
to get a pattern, it might
Yeah.
feel a little bit of a nuisance, but it really does just, I think, change the whole look when you can just tune in on those little details.
totally. I mean, we even went as far as, and Judy, I know you're asking, this is called the Ava, A-V-A, but when I think in the pattern, at least when we made it the first time, we did a slip stitch on the edges of each side. So that way, when you seam it up, you have like that finished braided look.
Mhm,
That's
mhm, mhm,
those little details, even we are just,
mhm.
And then also in terms of sizing, we Maddie's been working to ensure all of our patterns have schematics, and also we've started to try to add them to our product page, so you can start to see like the intention of the silhouette, and when you're making it yourself, there's ways to think about how you might want to tweak it for yourself. If you want it to be a little bit longer, if you have shorter arms, longer arms, if you want to kind of think about that. So those are like what all really new and exciting initiatives that our design team has been working on, that are new. Like you said, like we talked about garment, there's so much work and love that goes into garment making. So the size and making sure it fits and is perfect for you is so important.
yeah, for sure. We want you to be happy with it. Just like you said, Geraldine, like you knit with the indie dyed yarn and you're like, oh, like I didn't know it was gonna look like this. We want people to feel like that when they're knitting our pieces. We don't, the worst is when you knit something and then you feel like you need to rip it all out. Although that is a rite of passage sometimes.
Frogging is a rite of passage. I agree.
Yeah, we
gosh.
want it to work.
So Yoshiko, thank you for your question. I'm going to email you to make sure that you have all the information you need. So thank you, Yoshiko. Keep an eye out for an email from me.
Awesome. Alex, questions?
Those are the questions that are coming through. Yoshiko was just asking about the collective membership, which for folks who don't know, our collective membership is an annual membership, and you get discounts on all full price purchases, but you also have the opportunity to purchase patterns separate from kits. Otherwise, our patterns are really only available with kits. So on a launch like this, that's actually what Yoshiko was talking about. So since Yoshiko is a collective member, she's able to buy the pattern without necessarily purchasing the kit. And so that's what we're gonna figure out. So if you haven't checked out our collective membership, please do. Tara, hi Tara. Oh my gosh. When you're using 3 strands together, do you recommend winding the 3 strands together or to keep them separate and pulling them together?
Here's the thing, if you wanted to, you'd have to do it in stages. So one, you'd have to wind one full skein into this. So you'd have to wind 3 balls into 1 ball, and then you'd have to take the 3 balls again and rewind them into the 3 strands. You could.
But I would probably say, because of the delicacy of mohair, that once you get a knot,
Yeah.
it is
Yeah, you want to try to like not wind as much as possible. Yeah.
And also what's nice is you might have yarn left over, and I personally would rather have that yarn in a single strand. I'd rather have my scrap yarn in a single strand than in a triple strand, because once it's triple stranded, you are not separating it.
Yeah.
I have to agree with those. I have to agree with those answers.
For sure.
Hi, Tara. I think I recognize Tara Murphy. So if you're the Tara I'm thinking about.
Amazing. Oh my gosh. Well, hi, you do, she says. Oh my God. This is so fun because you have such a community and Third Piece is such a community. So having being able to combine and like have folks who love Wandering Flock in this call and have folks who love Third Piece in this call just feels perfect.
I love the synergy of our brands. So I definitely think a lot of my followers would love the garments that you've designed. I think I personally love a very classic contemporary look, and you guys nailed every piece of that. So I'm really excited.
You. Thank you so much, Geraldine. We hope to maybe next year we can do an event in person.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be lovely. I love
I
Boston.
just want an excuse to go to Brooklyn.
I know
so.
we want to go to.
I know. I want an excuse to
Geraldine
come
wants
up.
to for Clam
Oh my gosh.
Chapter.
And to meet your inevitably adorable baby. I mean, your
Oh my
baby's
God,
going.
yeah, the baby is due in October.
Yay!
So I'm actually not that pregnant yet. I guess I am pregnant, but I don't know. I don't know if you can be not that pregnant, but
That's a
but no, I love coming. I would love to come up. I love Boston. I miss my clam chowder.
Yes, we'll definitely do that. So yeah, thank you. We are just hitting an hour mark, so that was so
Oh
fun.
wow, that went by so fast.
Geraldine, thank you so much for seeing us 2 weeks in a row and hanging out with us and our lovely community, and hopefully some of Geraldine's community showed up today as well. But if you guys are enjoying these, we're happy to do them whenever. We can definitely get back. Probably for the fall because we'll probably have more Wandering Flock. So
I know I can't wait to see your fall ideas.
Geraldine, we put in a small special batch with Geraldine. So what we have is up on our website. And I know Geraldine's got a very exciting, busy summer in a couple months. And on top of the fact that she's pregnant really kind of also heightens the importance of
yes.
really making sure that we're on top of our game and planning out the fall with you. So we're really excited. Our wheels are already turning about some fall ideas and ways we can start integrating it with our own yarns. So
Awesome.
Lots of exciting stuff.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you very much
y'all.
for coming.